Hello world, I'm Dragontize, I mesmerize with voice and eyes. This file is called Good Little Thief, because that's what you'll be at the end of this file, my good little thief. It's a hypnotic fantasy, the story of a rogue, paid to steal something magical from a local wizard. Seems like a reasonable risk to take, doesn't it? After all, this job was going to be big. You could feel it. The weather was perfect. It was a foggy night, not too hot or cold, with just a sliver of moon to see by. Perhaps you can imagine what it would be like to be that rogue, preparing to steal from a wizard. Is it hubris? Are you simply so full of pride that you're certain you won't be caught? Or is it skill? Are you looking back on other jobs you've pulled and realizing that you have exactly what you need to pull off this caper? Or is it that you're charming and believe you can talk your way out of anything that might come along to trouble you? Regardless, whatever the case may be, you prepare for your mission, and then you set off for a local tavern. The Mark was a bit eccentric. Aren't all the wizards a bit eccentric? But he was known to frequent this place. So you waited on a rough wooden stool in a dark corner until you saw him come in. You waited just a bit longer, sipping your brew from a rough mug, so as not to look suspicious, and then you paid and walked out the door and into the stable to put on your gear. You were going to need your dark clothes, your climbing gloves, and your night vision amulet, and then it was off to his tower. It wasn't far, and you had a swift horse. You could feel the wind of your passing as you rode along the path. When you arrived and dismounted, you waved a magic detector amulet over the door. Nothing. So you went ahead and picked the lock. There were stairs in front of you, just as you had expected. So up you crept, near silently thanks to your sneaking boots. You saw that the detector was starting to glow faintly, but that was to be expected. It was a wizard's tower, after all. You had a pretty good sense for traps, generally, you believed, and you didn't even feel a prickle. So far, this seemed a bit too easy. You came to the first door, no, just his bedroom. Then another flight of stairs, but you weren't worried. You could always get out through the window in his study and climb down with your sneaky boots and your sticky finger gloves. As long as you were out the window before he was up the stairs, you'd be just fine. His study was amazing. The amulet was really glowing as you entered it. Too much ambient power for it to be any real use detecting security. You would have to take your chances. You saw so many beautiful and interesting things. The air in there even felt electrified. You felt so alive, so thrilled, wondering what else you might take, but it was important to focus on the job at hand. You saw a big, solid oak chest inlaid with spirals and strange glyphs. It hadn't been in the job description, but you picked the lock anyway, just to see what was inside. Clothes and other things too identifiable to be easily sold, so you moved on. There were display cases with glass as clear as water gracing several tables. You peered into them, wondering what might be worth taking. Did that one glow just to give light, or was the light a sign of something sinister? No matter, it wasn't what you came for, and you weren't sure you could sell it anyhow, not knowing what it did. You pocketed a few stray coins at least, and a loose gem or two. You thought it was strange how he left them just lying around, as if he started making jewelry or something and then got bored. Who leaves gems in a bowl on their desk, and why? Eccentric indeed. Finally, you spotted what you came for. A lovely wooden box, inlaid with designs in lapis and gold, sat in the center of his desk. You looked at it quizzically. It felt too obvious, as if it had been planted there. You waved the magic detector around a bit, trying to see if it could pick up anything, but it was still glowing in the whole room. You made a mental note to pick up a more precise one sometime, perhaps with a little dial. Did they make them with little dials? You picked the locks on the desk drawers just for something to do while you considered the box. You pocketed a few more coins, and a few scrolls and potions you knew the use of went into your sack. But in the end, there was nothing for it. The box contained what you had come here for. You had to open it to complete the job. You took a deep breath, listening, and looked around one last time. There was still no sign of the wizard, so, tentatively, you reached out and opened the box. The most wonderful light poured out, and as it washed over you, you felt a wave of calm suffuse your very being. A small smile graced your lips, and you blinked slowly. You could see the crystal inside the box, resting on dark blue velvet. It was so beautiful, you just had to pick it up. Once it was in your hand, another wave of calm washed over you. You sat in the chair by the desk, not even thinking what your body was doing. And the chair was so comfy and soft. You held up the crystal, and it turned a bit on the end of its chain. It caught the light so prettily. You couldn't stop staring. You didn't want to stop staring. Everything felt so calm and peaceful and wonderful, just staring into the crystal. Aw, look at you. You had no idea how much time had passed, or when the wizard had come in, but she was standing right next to you, a hand on your shoulder. You felt confused. Look at what? It's just adorable how entranced you were, that's all. Go ahead, stare a little deeper. I don't mind. Smiling, you nodded and did as you were told. The facets sparkled so prettily with the candles glowing on them. A tiny part of you screamed in alarm, but you couldn't seem to focus on that, with wave after wave of calm crashing into and over and through your mind. You let out a happy sigh of relaxation. That's right. Here, let me hold it. It looks like your hand is getting a little tired holding it up. And you nodded again as I took it. Your hand really was tired, so you let it sink down and rest in your lap. That's right. You can stare a little longer, as long as you stand up and walk over here. You felt your body standing and following. You couldn't look away. You didn't want to. You're going to lie down right here in this cot next to my bed. And once you're comfy in the cot, you'll let your eyes close and just listen. Still every bit as entranced and open to my words as you are now. That sounds wonderful and relaxing, doesn't it? That's right. Now if you said yes, just remember it's yes, Lady Dragon, from you for now on. That's right. The cot is so comfy underneath you. You had never been so relaxed on a cot in your life. Good. Feel my hands softly petting your head as your eyelids flutter shut. You did such a good job. You know, I asked your guild to assign a truly accomplished thief, and you were certainly up to the task. You know, I had at least a dozen guards between the tavern and the tower, an informant in the guild, and 3 more in the tavern, and not a single one of them told me you were coming tonight. You got all the way to the crystal. And if your mind were just a little stronger, you would have made it right out the window with it too. Shh, it's okay. You did a good job. You smiled. Oh, that was all right then. It's okay that your mind gave in, because now you get to feel these wonderful waves of calm and peace as you hear me speak. It's okay that you're relaxing and accepting this now, because you're really going to enjoy staying here, serving me any way I see fit. You can smile as you're enjoying it already. But for now, it's been a long night, and I need to get ready for bed. You're already ready, nice and relaxed and so very sleepy. So go ahead, just give in and sleep, my good little thief, and you'll have plenty of cozy, obedient dreams. Good night, my little thief. We'll begin your training in the morning. Now I hope you enjoyed this hypnotic fantasy. I'm going to count to 10, and when I get to 10, you'll be awake again. Back to the real world. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Wake. Thank you for listening.